Wow, amazing to hear the story of care and love from our prayer center, because our world needs it. Our world is overrun with fear and worry. Recent studies have shown that about half of Canadians have faced some level of mental health issues by the time they turn 40. There's been a notable increase of stress levels and concerns across all age groups in the past several years. People are worried about finances and health issues as we age, and their children, the divisive, distractive world that seems spinning out of control. There's this hopelessness that's filling the hearts and minds of people in our nation like a rising tide. How do we respond? How do we stem back and push back against the darkness and despair around us, and maybe even in us today? Paul the Apostle writes to the Philippians in their stressful cultural season. He gives some instruction and encouragement to them that I think can help us too. In Philippians 4, he says, "Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say it, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." There's so much that we could unpack in this powerful set of directives, but instead of going through them all, I want to focus on our posture to receive this promise. And what happens to most of us when we hear Paul say, "Rejoice always," is that we get a defensive or dismissive posture. We feel like it's impossible. And given our real threats and concerns, how can we always be joyful? Well, first, let's remember that Paul wasn't penning these words from a comfortable retreat center somewhere. He was in prison. He was in chains. He was facing the possibility of death for sharing his faith in Jesus. Friends, we can't allow our circumstances to define our mood, our motives, or our mission. There's a story of two men. They're confined in the same cell with one window. And when he looks out the window, one man speaks of despair and hopelessness in his situation. The other man speaks about hope, beauty, the endless possibilities the future holds. See, when the first man looked out the window, he looked down and all he saw was mud. The second man looked up and saw the stars. There is more to life than where you are today. Paul knew his situation was temporal, but hope in Christ is eternal. Paul is calling for an eternal posture. Our world bases so much of their life and identity on temporal things. The world's hope is a temporary one. That's why there's so much anxiety about job security and possessions and money. Friends, do not equate your self-worth with your net worth. That's the world's definition. Money and influence don't equal happiness. Money and influence equal opportunity for kingdom advancement. With hope in Christ, we gain an eternal posture and an eternal kingdom perspective. This is the posture to receive the promise from Paul. We can rejoice always, not be anxious, and be full of gratitude and have the peace of God that guards our heart and minds in Christ Jesus. Because in Christ, hope springs eternal. Over to you, Lara.